Aren't games really complicated, and why would simplicity be better for a game than complexity? Well, first off, the simple truth is that you want games to be as simple to interact with as possible, but no simpler. There is a lot of complicated execution on games and a lot of nuanced detail that goes into building them, but when it comes to planning and structuring your gameplay, you want to keep it essential. Why? Lesson number 1. If the basic gameplay is actually fun, even simple challenges can be engaging. Think about jumping over a gap in a Mario game, like Mario 64 or Mario Galaxy. You didn't get tired of jumping over gaps simply because you had figured out how to do it. That core, simple, essential element is in fact the intrinsic, central concept of a Mario game. Instead, it's about all the decorations and the experience of running through these different environments and the contextual adaptation that you do that makes Mario games have longevity. Number 2, and this one a lot of designers get wrong, limitations and constraints actually make games more engaging, not less. Imagine that we're standing on one end of a football field. I hand you a ball and I say run to the other end of the football field. You take off running and I'm like, congratulations, you win. Would you be excited about that? Maybe if you like running a little bit, but it's not really that interesting. Let's say all of a sudden I say, hey, run to the other end of the football field, but you can only use one foot. All of a sudden, this becomes a far more engaging and interesting problem, right? By adding a limitation, we've taken something you can do simply and made it more difficult, challenging, and intriguing without having added a lot of complexity. Furthermore, this sort of complexity can grow. Simple things can actually become ornate by simply adding a lot of reinforcement for them. For example, let's say in addition to hopping on one foot, now we also have someone else who is doing the same thing in challenge with you. Now we've taken that simple challenge of hopping on one foot, added another player, and made it more interesting and ornate with a simple rules change. Lesson number 3, let your simple mechanics interact with other features and complexity will emerge naturally and independently. So let's introduce another player into the game who is also hopping down the field on one foot. Let's add in a simple rule that you can now pass the ball between each other, and if you're not holding the ball, you don't have to hop. All of a sudden, now there's a new optimization challenge where you want to run as far as you can, pass it as far as you can, as opposed to hopping your way down the field. We've changed the rules, and now this trade-off between hopping down the field and passing makes the game dramatically more complex, even though we've done very little in terms of adding new rules. Now, as we sit here thinking about this hopping and passing game, we might decide, well, maybe you can only hop so many times, or you can only run so far, right? Each additional rule and each additional transformation of this very basic game will add complexity. You need to understand who is the game being made for. Is it made for a bunch of school children? Maybe those 2 rules are enough. Or instead, you've got a bunch of cutthroat, hard-hitting athletes who are trying to show off to win awards. Well, all of a sudden, more complex rules may be necessary to engage with that audience, which leads us to rule number 4. The decision of how complex or simple your game is in the end is up to you and your team. The more complex your rules, the more difficult the work is to enforce them, as well as to find effective rules that encourage the gameplay you want to create. In conclusion, even the most basic games, whether it's running around a track or playing tag, are fun and engaging if the challenges ahead of you are interesting and intriguing. What makes an obstacle course more exciting than a track? The fact that there are hurdles to leap over, things to crawl under, mud to get dirty in, and maybe shocking wires to avoid if you're doing a tough mudder. The challenges are ultimately what makes a simple experience engaging. Keep this in mind as you're building your game content.